For the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world, we are live and amplified. So let's get ready to podcast.
Fire it up.
Good, man. It's I just put out a new EP yesterday, so it was kind of a busy 24 hours around that.
Nice. How's it feel to have the EP out?
Oh my God, it's such a relief, I'll tell you. This one, I've been doing a kind of my debut solo album in 4 parts, so like four song EPs, and it was a COVID-inspired project. So this one in particular, it's been about 2 years in the making. Well, a little less than 2 years, but however long it's been. So it's just kind of like an emotional burden lifted to finally share it, not just have it up here.
Yeah, for sure. And so for the people that are watching that are just getting introduced to you or meeting you for the first time, can you kind of break down who you are and all that fun stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. My name's Jay Johnson. I'm a solo artist from Philadelphia. I've been active in the Philly scene for the last about 5 years, playing with a couple different bands. The Pool Boys was kind of like my psychedelic surf rock band. Currently on hiatus with, COVID and all that. But then I've also been playing with a folk rock band called 3 Yards to Dover. We actually have a show coming up on December 11th. First one in a while, so excited for that.
Nice.
But otherwise play around as a solo artist, do a lot of composition, that kind of stuff.
Awesome. And then what was your introduction to music?
Introduction to music was, it's just something I've kind of always grown up with. My one grandmother, who actually passed away from breast cancer before I could meet her, was an opera singer. Both my grandfathers were musicians along with other careers, but playing piano and saxophone and a wide range of stuff. My mother's father was a multi-instrumentalist up until he died. And so that kind of really inspired me to want to pick up a lot of different instruments. So started out with violin in 4th grade, kind of got bored with that, quit, started playing guitar, and about 15 or so different string instruments later. Having a great time.
Gotcha. And you're based out of Philadelphia. Are you born, raised there, or?
Yeah, actually born in San Francisco. I lived the first half of my life out in the Bay Area, and then my family moved back to a place called Yardley, but in the Philadelphia area. So went to Penn State. So consider myself more of a Pennsylvanian by this point. But after college, I moved out west. Lived in Utah for a little while. Tahoe, some fun spots.
How'd you like Utah?
I loved it. I spent a year in St. George, which is in the southwest corner. But it was just a beautiful area. I really love the desert. I'm a big fan of like amateur astronomy too, so I love the night sky out there. Just being able to see the Milky Way out your front door was just incredible.
Yeah, for sure. I've always had it in the back of my head that one of these days, just kind of, I would love to move to Moab.
Oh yeah.
Like just driving through that city. It's every time I do it, it's like, wow, if I could figure out a way to move here and make it work, that would be awesome. But
yeah, for sure. It's been 5 years since I got to the desert the last time. So I need to get back out there because it's like soul cleansing. It really is.
Yeah. It really is. So for the EP that you just released, what's kind of the story behind that?
Yeah, so this one is called In Transit. I've done, as I mentioned, there's 4 different themes. So the first one was in nature, which was acoustic, and I tried to make it my goal was to make it sound like you didn't know what century it was from, potentially. Like it could be modern, but it could be really old. The second one was in Change, which had a little bit more of like a classic 60s vibe, which is what I'm into. And then this one, is travel themed. So I think it's a little more cohesive than the first two. Like, it's meant to be listened to in succession, really. And it kind of it's inspired by, I've been fortunate to travel abroad a lot throughout Europe, and between living out west and doing some road trips, it's kind of just inspired by tons of different pieces of being on the road. I'm definitely a bit of a romantic, so I always like to idealize stuff. So I tried to also not do that with this and talk about some of the, feelings of loneliness or distance and some of the things. Last song, instead of, it's called Home Again. And instead of like romanticizing and idealizing home, I figured, that Crosby, Stills, Nash already did that 50 years ago with Our House. So I tried to make it more about like the weird feeling of coming home after a long adventure, when maybe a couple things have changed and you're a little bit of a different person than when you left.
Yeah, for sure. So you'd mentioned that that this is, or that you're releasing your full length in 4 parts of four EP or 4 song EPs. What number EP is this for that?
This is the third one.
Third one?
Yeah,
and
it's kind of
what was that?
I was going to say it's kind of the heaviest one, so I was saving a little bit of brevity for the last one, which will be In Love, which will be out around Valentine's Day, hopefully.
Awesome. And yeah, okay. Well, you just answered my next question of when it would be released. But would you, for the full length, are you going to go back and re-release them all as a collective, or are you going to just kind of keep it as the 4 song EPs?
Yeah, so I'll definitely re-release it as a collective. I'm hoping to print it. If there's enough interest, I'd love to do it on vinyl, but I'll at least do it on CDs and kind of do that at shows. It's been a fun process. I've been recording with a good friend of mine, Maddie Klauser, who's really active in the Philly indie scene. And they do all the drumming and all the engineering, but they're also kind of a really busy, in-demand musician, and life's busy, so it takes a little bit to
effort,
get it all done.
Yeah.
But that being said, I've got a lot more new music that I'm excited to record and get all that done. So in terms of, I'm starting to look into that because we're finally getting to the finish line of this project. But I guess one of the things I have to decide is if I'll do kind of how it is, just all 4 EPs back to back to back, or if I'll kind of like pick and choose songs from each one to come up with a completely different flow.
Absolutely. So you're already thinking about the next project after this?
Oh yeah.
That works.
Fantasizing about it.
What goes into the creative process, or when you're sitting down to write music, what goes into that process?
Yeah, it depends. My go-to has always been to go outside and practice guitar in the most away from people spots I can be. Which in the Philadelphia area, you're kind of limited to parks. But like when I was out in Utah, I wrote some songs. I worked in wilderness therapy out there, so we'd be out in the middle of the desert for like a week at a time, and I'd always have a guitar. And so some of the songs that I've written, I think only one of them is appearing on this one, but just the more away from people and more into nature I can get, the better. But I'll normally start with, guitar or keys and then just kind of fill it out. Some songs, as I'm sure anyone would say, some come easy, some you kind of have to find. But that's another one. I've written a couple songs where I'll just start whistling in the shower. Oh, sorry. We got I had the YouTube in the background from yesterday, and it's
all good. It's all good. So, no, that's awesome. And then how's COVID kind of helped inspire? Has it helped inspire or kind of hinder your creative process?
Well, both. Yes. It did force me to really sit down with a metronome just to stay sane, especially in those early days. That was kind of like my refuge, to just kind of practice guitar for like 6 or 8 hours and just listen to the click and not think about the world falling apart and just kind of do that. And at the same time, when it hit, I had like about a dozen shows that were canceled that were planned out, and some of them were going to be really fun shows. Yeah, especially in the early days of the pandemic, you just kind of watched bands fall apart and dissolve, people go all over. So
yeah, that was the unfortunate part. There was a lot of bands that just kind of self-imploded, I guess is the best way to word it,
Yeah, well, it honestly nearly impossible to make it work, especially when so many people are gig workers, or if you're making money full time for music, just having pretty much your entire income go away is just
hard. It's
bad.
hard to deal. So I 100% get it and agree. And so obviously, for the reasons that we're here to raise funds and awareness for pancreatic cancer research and awareness for PanCan. Have you had any personal experiences or lost any loved ones to cancer or pancreatic cancer?
Yes, unfortunately, a lot of family members. Cancer is kind of very popular in my family, to put it in a semi-joking way. But I lost my grandmother to lung cancer a couple of years ago. Both my grandmothers beat breast cancer, but with my one aunt just beat colon cancer. We had prostate cancer pop up. So it is very sad. No biological relatives for pancreatic, but one of my aunts, my godfather's father, there's just been a lot of people who have unfortunately succumbed to it.
Yeah, for sure. It's very sad and very, hard to process it all when it does happen, because it can happen so quickly. It's one of those things where, look, I guess to put a look here, or like a shine of light on it, some of your relatives were able to kind of survive and beat their prognoses, but not a lot of cancers allow that. Specifically, like even pancreatic cancer, it's got a mortality or a survivability rate of 10% right now. So it's just one of those things that's insane, and it's terrible that they haven't put more emphasis into finding cures for cancer, period, let alone just pancreatic cancer.
It does feel like it's something that they should address more.
Yeah.
And, it seems like the technology is finally such that we could make giant leaps if we could just get people to prioritize a little better in terms of funding.
Yeah, absolutely. But
try not to get political, but I'm really a big advocate of Medicare for all, or just at least addressing the crisis in this country, because between research and people getting treatment, I had worked as a loan officer for a number of years to support music. So I looked at tons of credit reviews, and the amount of people that were just devastated by medical bills was ridiculous. So we need to do better. I know we can do better, and I'll try not to preach, but
no, you're good.
10% is not acceptable.
No, it's not. And I don't know what it is at other with other cancers. I just know what pancreatic cancer is, because obviously with my story, I've been studying it for a while. So,
How's your family doing?
We're doing all right. My dad, I'm out in Waco, Texas. My dad's down in Florida, and he's just trying to get himself together, not keep himself together. He's trying to get himself together and just, figure out what his next move is. Because obviously my dad is at that point in his life where he was getting ready to just go into full retirement mode and enjoy his golden years with his wife, and she passed away. So, but my dad is starting to reset some things, and hopefully within the next 6 months or so, it'll be as good as it can be, I guess. So, but
absolutely,
it's just a sad thing, and It's not acceptable, the 10% survivability rate, just in general, period. So, but just to kind of put a point on to why we're here and talk about that for a few minutes. That's all I wanted to do. So kind of turning back to your music, you've got you just dropped a new EP. What's going through your mind now that it's out? Like it's out, it's there for people to listen.
Yeah. Really, I just like, as many people to hear it and hopefully enjoy it as possible. So that's on my mind. Maybe to my own detriment, I'm kind of really not into doing a lot of advertising, or at least paid advertising, because I'm just so kind of fed up with all that and sick of ads everywhere. So I've been kind of trying to rely more on word of mouth and just playing out and supporting it. So thinking about that, hoping to book some shows coming up in support of it all, and fingers crossed that things will not get crazy over the winter. We'll see. Generally try to play it pretty cautious with all that, but yeah, now it's just really just a matter of taking a quick breath and hopefully sharing it with as many people as I can.
Awesome. And then turning right around to promote the fourth one?
Yeah, pretty much.
Pretty much.
I actually still need to record that. Just again, like time and budget wise, it's part of what's inspired spreading it out. Because it's hard to fund these things when you don't have the live show income coming in. But so I guess that's pretty much what I'm really focusing on, making sure that the 4 I have are the 4 that I want. Probably do some redemoing and just get it ready to go. And then hopefully get that tracked before the end of the year, and then maybe drink some eggnog.
Nice. And then what's your live show schedule looking like?
As of now, through the rest of the year, I have it's a show at a place called Tralfamadore on December 11th with my band 3 Yards to Dover. We'll be playing with Meet the Bug, who's a really talented performer. I think she just put out an album or an EP as well. And then Michael LaBella. So that'll be a really fun night. Otherwise, I've been playing a lot in Trenton, New Jersey, actually, with a band called Over the Counter. Really, really talented cats. Really fun guys to hang with. So probably be playing with them on kind of a weekly basis at the one jam session, and hopefully schedule a few more shows. Been very bad about booking this year.
Yeah, gotcha. And then hopefully next year you'll hopefully shows will come back with more regularity and you'll get out to travel and all that. Is that something that you're hoping to do, is like start touring and stuff again?
Definitely hoping to. It'd be really nice to get on the road. I've been a little, I don't want to sound negative, but I've been a little bummed to see a lot of bands I know, they keep getting their trailing tours broken into and their stuff stolen. So every time I see something like that, I'm always like, do I want to do this?
Yeah.
But I think I still do. I think it's worth the risk.
Now that you mention it, I have seen that kind of popping up a lot more, where band trailers and they're just getting their gear stole from them or merchandise or whatever. And it's like, dang, that's really tough to hear and see.
I know. So. It's wrong to rob people in general, but when you're taking a musician's instrument, the musicians are not known for having a lot of money in general, but it's like, it's something that you're sentimentally attached to. It's what you express yourself through. It's how you pay the bills. So it's just, it's hard.
For sure. But, so it's going to happen regardless, but it just seems like over the last 6 months or so, it's like been really that, like, it feels like every week I see something popping up. So.
Yeah, I think in the last 3 weeks, I've seen at least 5 bands, or really? 3 bands and 2 people who had their drums and stuff stolen out of cars, out of trunks even. It's wow. Come on, people.
Yeah. And is that all primarily in the Philly area, or is that everywhere?
The ones I'm mentioning, 3 were in Philly, two were in like Jersey City area.
Gotcha.
Up by like New York.
Yeah, it's just saddening when it gets to that point and people are just taking shit that isn't theirs.
I know.
Like that's the only way you can phrase it, you know?
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I will probably sound a little naive, but that is actually on my mind. I'd really like to be the biggest messenger of flower power as I can be. I think if there's a time that we needed flower power and just a little bit of brevity and light and peace and love, it's after these last 2 years.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, people are angry. And
Nice.
It's sad.
So as far as just kind of moving forward, is there a place or a venue or a city or a state that you haven't played yet that you'd really like to?
Ooh, wow, good question. How reach are you talking? How fantasy land are we going?
Whatever you feel like.
Let's go fantasy land because I haven't played in Colorado, and I actually haven't been to Red Rocks in general. But I think that would be a heck of a time to play there.
Okay.
Especially talking about the desert. But that's a far way away. In terms of Philly, I think I'd love to try to schedule a show at Johnny Brenda's. That's a cool venue that they get a lot of like nationally touring acts up to like they're down to local and just really cool spot.
I've heard of Johnny Brenda's a few times. They popped up in a few different conversations. But I've never been to Philly, so I've never been there. So
come on up to Philly. It's a good time.
All right. Awesome. I love it. Let's see. Yeah, let's do this. That'll work. All right. So everybody that comes on to the fundraising podcast today and tomorrow, they get one spin of the random question generator.
Ooh, cool.
So if you're ready for your question, I've got it right here.
I am ready.
All right. Would you rather have a finger that turns into a fork or a spoon?
Wow. Spoon. Yeah.
Spoon?
Honestly, I mean, I don't know how much you want to talk about the history of forks and spoons, but I studied history and classics back in college, so some of this stuff fascinates me.
Okay.
So if I remember, forks are more, I think they were from Persia, and I always loved the one anecdote of, I think when they were coming to Constantinople, they might have burned a lady as a witch for using a fork, or like they were just like, you are not to use a fork.
Okay.
Use your hands or use spoons. And so it's just in case I was going back there, I guess I'd go with the spoon. But I don't know, I feel like a spoon's just a little more versatile, you know?
Yeah.
And what about you? Turn it back on you.
I don't know. I feel like my hand could almost be the spoon if like we're talking logistics and just like, so I'd almost have to say the fork just for that sake, but I'd have to say a fork. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess like you have a musical spoon element to it.
Yeah.
That could be fun.
That's true.
Good for digging.
Yeah. You know, it's that the random question generator just throws out some of the most random stuff and I love it. So it's become a fixture into to what we're doing today. So
yeah, God bless that.
Yeah. Oh, awesome. So you'd mentioned you got the show coming up on December 11th. What's the how's 2022 shaping up so far? Are you got anything on the books yet, or are you not thinking that far ahead?
I need to think about that, and I have not yet, just because it's like I used to be a distance runner, and I feel like if this was a 5K, I'm on like mile 2.5 right now, and you start to see like that you're getting there, just because like three albums or EPs done, one more to go, so that's like I've just been tunnel vision on that. And then I do need to start mixing in some booking though, because probably going to shoot to play a number of breweries in the greater Philly area. Couple different venues down there that I'd like to book some shows at. I always really like Bourbon and Branch, if you ever heard of that spot.
Nope, I have not.
It's they have really good sound, and it's just a cool little club in the Northern Liberties section of Philly. But yeah, just hopefully get a number of shows, and then I played up in Brooklyn like a month ago, and I did a recording session at a place called Least of All. But getting back up there, it was like, man, I played some shows in New York a couple of years back, but I was like, I want to come back up here more and more because this is just a good time. So hopefully, in terms of booking, hopefully focus on like that Philly to New York corridor.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I do want to thank you so much for jumping on here. Before we kind of wrap it up, if people want to check out your new EP that just dropped yesterday or anything else you got going on, feel free to tell them where they can find you. Yeah,
for sure. Like everyone, I'm on all the streaming services, Spotify, Jay Johnson. The EP is in transit. If, like me, you don't have a Spotify, it's also on Bandcamp, Amazon, YouTube, all that stuff. But In Transit's the most recent. In Change came out in the summer, and In Love will be coming up very shortly. Awesome. Be on the lookout for the new EP coming up here shortly, In Love. And thank you, everybody, for tuning in. If you are interested in donating to the Pancreatic Cancer Action Network, the donation links are in the description or in the comment thread pinned to the top there. Once again, Jay, thank you so much for jumping on here. Really appreciate it. And we will see you guys here in a bit. Thanks, Tom. Best of luck with the fundraiser. Thank you very much. That's cool. Awesome. Awesome. All right, y'all. We'll be back here in a little bit with Emily Kate.